Okay, so good afternoon, everyone, and a warm welcome to this applicant briefing for the Global Incubator Programme Canada. My name is Ian Fletcher from Innovate UK Edge, and I'm the project manager for this incubator programme. Some housekeeping before we start. We'll be recording the briefing today and it'll be available to view later this week on the Innovate UK Edge website. There'll also be a link in the chat, which I'll share shortly, to the Innovate UK Edge website where you can view the programme application form, as well as recording for the briefing when it's added later this week. Next slide, please. So the objective of the briefing is to provide as much information as possible about the programme, with particular focus on the application process and how the 6-month programme is structured. I'm pleased to welcome fellow speakers and guests today, including Stephen Browning, Challenge Director, Innovate UK, Hirsch Perlis and Chris Bentley, Directors at Legal Innovation Zone in Toronto, who are our partners for this programme. And other colleagues joining us today include representatives for Innovate UK Edge and the Knowledge Transfer Network, and a warm welcome to them too. So in terms of the agenda, Stephen will introduce Innovate UK and the Next Generation Services Programme. I'll cover the Innovate UK global programmes and the Global Incubator Programme. Hirsch and Chris will introduce the Legal Innovation Zone, provide an overview of the programme. And to finish, we'll have time allocated for questions and discussion at the end of the session. So to start the session off, I'm going to hand over to Stephen Browning from Innovate UK.
Thanks, Ian. Next slide, please. So just quickly to introduce the organisation. As Innovate UK, we are part of UK Research and Innovation. Sorry, Graham, next slide. Which is the organisation that looks after the research and innovation ecosystem in the UK on behalf of the government. Innovate UK itself is the UK's innovation agency, and our role within UKRI is to support business-led innovation. Next slide, please.
Guess who's on the call? Guy Stern.
So Innovate UK's mission is to try and support business-led innovation, as I said, with the purpose of trying to develop economic growth and societal impact. We support businesses across all sectors, in all technology areas, and right across the UK. And we're a key delivery agent of the UK's, or the UK government's innovation strategy. Next slide, please. So our primary purpose is to support innovation within the UK, innovation that will support businesses to grow themselves and to drive economic growth across the whole of the UK, but also provide societal impact, trying to further goals such as climate change or diversity or inclusion of communities and businesses that might not be served by particular sectors particularly well. Next slide, please. Sorry, can you skip over this one as well? So since we've been formed in 2007, we've invested a very large amount of money with a substantial payback. You'll see some figures on the screen there. For every £1 we've invested, we estimate that £7 is returned to the UK economy. We've helped support the creation of more than 100,000 jobs, and we've driven innovation across every sector of the UK economy. Next slide, please. So right now, or just recently, we've been looking at how we might progress into the future, and we have launched our plan for action. When you have access to these slides, you can access that plan for action. I'm not going to go into it in detail, but just to pick out a couple of key areas that will be relevant to what we're doing here today. So the first is, you'll see across those strategic themes, there's an area called Future Economy, where we're looking to try and support the technologies and sectors that will be critical to the UK in the future and critical globally. The other one to point out is within that plan for action, we're also looking at global opportunities, which is clearly relevant to what we're doing here today. Next slide, please. So within that future economy area, we have determined that we will support a program to drive forward digital technology development and adoption within professional and financial services. And this is the program that I lead and for which this particular global incubator program is linked. Next slide, please. So why are we looking at professional and financial services? Well, probably everyone on this call is pretty bought into these areas, but essentially they are the cornerstone of the UK economy. They are a massive part of the economy itself, but they also underpin every part of the rest of the economy. So every transaction or every trade that goes on is underpinned by professional and financial services in one way or another. And they're also the areas that we turn to in our hours of need as citizens, or not just hours of need, but also to plan our futures. Next slide, please. However, typically these sectors are seen as low in R&D investing sectors. There's a number of barriers to innovation across the sectors, including legacy business models, systems, cultural barriers, general risk aversion. So because of this, we're seeing a need from UKRI and Innovate UK to support the developments of innovation and the capability of the sectors to innovate. Next slide, please. And that's where the Next Generation Services program comes in. So what we're looking to do is transform the UK professional and financial services sectors by helping them responsibly develop and deploy digital technologies, delivering a world-leading set of services that not only address their own economic growth, but are trying or are accessible to broader sectors of the economy, including underserved and underrepresented communities, businesses, and individuals. Next slide, please. So over the coming few months, if you keep an eye on what we're doing in Innovate UK, you'll see that we're going to launch some other areas of activity. One area is we're launching in the summer a program around data access for these sectors, trying to increase the access to data for the purposes of innovation. Another area is we will have a collaborative R&D core that will be providing business-led grants for undertaking R&D within these sectors. And then we'll look to do further things into the future. But part of what we're looking to do, and the reason we're here today, is also to expand opportunities outside the UK. And for that, I'll turn back to Ian. Next slide, please.
Thanks, Stephen. So I'm now going to provide a brief overview of Innovate UK global programs, followed by an introduction to this global incubator program. Next slide, please. So just some context to how this program fits into Innovate UK's global offering. To the left-hand side, you'll see global scoping workshops and global expert missions, which are focused on identifying sector technology opportunities for UK businesses and global markets. The results of these initiatives are used to inform Innovate UK Edge global programs in terms of sector and market focus. So the two main global programs that we deliver include global business innovation programs, which are about exploring the market, possibly for the first time, building early knowledge and contacts in the market. The offer is a visit to the market for around 1 week with meetings and site visits arranged during the visit. And then global incubator program. So where a company has market knowledge, they might have attended a GBIT perhaps, but don't have to. It believes that there is a market for their solution and now needs to validate and finalize their market entry strategy. So the offer is a base in the market, an incubator facility with wraparound support provided. So Innovate UK, as part of the Global Incubator Programme, funds 2 market visits to the programme, as well as an intensive package of support delivered by a team at an incubator facility in the market. Next slide, please. So a global incubator program is delivered over 4 stages. The first stage is the preparation stage. This includes recruitment and selection, where we receive and review program application forms. We then invite 12 companies to interview, and then we'll select 8 companies to join the program. We then encourage the companies to engage with their Innovate UK Edge specialist, and we'll introduce them to a specialist which is local to their base in terms of their UK base. We'll then hold an onboarding workshop, which is a deep dive into the program, where we go through the program curriculum in more detail, as well as the support and facilities available during the program. We introduce the customer discovery process, which forms the main body of the program. We'll outline the strategic development planning process, which is a document that we complete with the companies during the program. And then we'll go through the logistics for the first market visit, which will take place at the start of the program. We then move into stage 2, which is participate, where the company will finalize their strategic development plan for the market with the support of their Innovate UK Edge specialist, and then they'll attend their first market visit. We then move to stage 3, which is pursue, where up to 6 months can be spent in the incubator facility. Tailored support is provided by the Legal Innovation Zone for this program and the Innovate UK Edge specialist during the program. So the support includes assisting the company with their customer discovery activity, themed workshops, and ending with the second market visit in November. We recognise that each participant will have different objectives for the programme, and we'll tailor the support around those requirements. And then the final stage is exploit. So when the 6-month programme ends, we agree follow-on support with the company to ensure momentum built during the programme is maintained, and then obviously linking you to further support that you require from private or public sector bodies. Next slide, please. So our support in the UK is delivered through a large team of innovation and growth specialists that are based locally. Typically, you'll be allocated an account manager who may pull in colleagues if they have specialist knowledge that you require during their intervention. So that knowledge might include things like intellectual property, raising finance, or international growth. They'll also plug you into all the supports available in the broader ecosystem of support that may be publicly funded support or from the private sector. In the context of this programme, the IGS will work alongside the company in terms of the pre-program support, so assist with the development of that strategic development plan, which sets out the objectives for the program for the company, and also introduce complementary business support at that stage. During the program, the company will work alongside their innovation and growth specialists, and they'll attend the monthly check-in meetings with you and the incubators team, which take place during the program. And then post-program, we'll agree further support with you to help you exploit the program, and obviously introduce further complementary business support at that stage too. Next slide, please. So to apply for this program, companies must be UK registered business. They must be innovation focused legal tech business. And I'll go through a list of priority areas on the next slide. The company should be able to commit an average of 15+ hours per week to the program requirements. This is an intensive program. Our participants will get out of it what they put in. Based on our experience of delivering other incubator programs, this is an average time per week companies need to dedicate towards the program in order to get the most out of it. Some of that time will be spent intensively, for example, during market visits. Some time will be less so, but obviously as an average, that's what we're looking for as a guide to what companies need to dedicate throughout the program. This includes attending group workshops, undertaking independent market discovery work during the program, visits to the market, and attending those regular check-in meetings with the program teams. And customer discovery work will be supported throughout by the teams at Legal Innovation Zone and also Innovate UK Edge. Companies should also be prepared to participate in 2 market visits, one at the start of the program in July and also in November at the end of the program. And companies will also have the opportunity to spend time at the incubator space independent of those 2 market visits. So whilst there's no obligation for participants to spend the full 6 months of the program at the incubator space, the expectation is that you would want to spend some time in Canada independent of those 2 market visits to maximise the opportunity of the program. Next slide, please. So we're looking to recruit up to 8 legal tech companies who could be developing solutions covering the following technology areas. So these are the technology areas highlighted by the Legal Innovation Zone that are of interest to them and the Canadian market. If you feel your solution doesn't quite fit into these areas, please feel free to contact us and we'll be happy to give feedback on whether it could be a fit for this program or not. Next slide, please. So the application period is now open and we're expecting a high number of applications for this program. Therefore, the advice is to get your applications in early or not leave it till before the deadline of the 12th of May. So we'll be holding shortlist interviews after the application deadline from the 30th of May to the 2nd of June. We'll then be looking to confirm the cohort by the 6th of June and then run our first onboarding workshop in between the cohort being confirmed and also the program commencing in June, with the first market visit commencing on the 24th of July. And that will be going up for Toronto for 1 week. Next slide, please. So the assessment criteria, when we're reviewing application, we'll be using the following criteria. Program fit, so the company must be highly innovative, that fits with the program focus, i.e. legal tech. Company must have sufficient capability, so they have the expertise and resources to exploit the opportunities for the program. The company must show ambition and outline how participating in the program can help the company achieve this. There needs to be a product market fit, so the product has the potential to fit an ecosystem on the Canadian market. And the company should offer a solution that's a positive impact on the legal tech sector. So next slide, please. So my final slide covers what makes a good application. So it should demonstrate a clear legal tech impact. Does it decrease the cost for customers? Does it decrease the time or increase efficiency of processes? Does it drive better outcomes? For example, deeper or more relevant research or predictive outcomes? It should clearly explain the size of the market problem and the impact the problem has on the customer. So how does the technology solve the market problem? What's the value proposition? Demonstrate the growth potential of the technology. What the size of the problem globally and also in Canada? Provide understanding of the competition and the competitive advantage. So is the technology unique? It should demonstrate the applicant's ability to manage operations in the UK while exploring opportunities elsewhere. So how will you manage UK development and growth alongside activities on the programme? How will participation be resourced and which members of the team will be involved? It should also explain why is now a good time for the company to expand internationally and particularly to Canada. So why do you believe the market problem exists in Canada? What do you know? What don't you know? What relationships do you want to cultivate during the programme? It's important to be specific, not general, so you can demonstrate there's a plan being formed for the Canadian market. We don't expect you to have all the answers, but demonstrate what you know already and what you don't know and where we can help you with. So now I'm going to hand you over to Hirsch and Chris to introduce the Legal Innovation Zone and walk you through the structure of the program in Canada.
Well, thanks very much. My name's Chris Bentley and my colleague Hirsch Perlis is on as well. We thought we'd introduce you to the zone, but first we thought we'd introduce you to ourselves. About 8 years ago, Hirsch and I co-founded the world's first incubator dedicated to legal tech. We called it the world's first. And we waited for somebody to challenge us on that. And nobody challenged us. So, like good innovators and entrepreneurs, we just took the title. I am a lawyer, have been licensed for decades. I spent 23 years in a criminal defense labor law practice, taught for 10 years at the university during that time, helped found a legal clinic in the other London for you, London, Ontario, which is where I'm sitting now. I then spent 10 years in politics as an elected member of the Liberal Party in government all 10 years, cabinet minister all 10 years, including 4 years as the Attorney General. I left politics in 2013, came to what was then Ryerson, now known as Toronto Metropolitan University, and set up a lawyer licensing program called the Law Practice Program, licensed by the Law Society, and co-founded with Hirsch a legal tech incubator. And before I go further, Hirsch, why don't you give a little bit of background about yourself?
Yeah, thanks, Chris. And it's a pleasure to meet everyone and a couple of familiar faces as well. So great to see everyone this morning. My name, again, is Hirsch Perlis, co-founder of the Legal Innovation Zone. And while Chris has been a criminal lawyer for 23 years and attorney general for 4 years, I am the non-lawyer of the group. And so I have an entrepreneurial background. I started in the not-for-profit world at a very large not-for-profit, then helped take a small one nationally. I met Chris when I got the political bug and jumped into politics for a few years. And then, as he mentioned, the two of us started the Legal Innovation Zone about 8 years ago. And also I ran away to Deloitte for a year and was the chief of staff of their AI practice for Canada as well. So diversity of thought is something that Chris and I always preach and evidently practice as well, and very important around innovation and in the startup world, as all of you know. So that is the two of us. Chris, the floor is yours.
So we're really excited to be part of this program. We are delighted to be part of it, and we admire the ambition of it to support you in an international expansion. So why is the Legal Innovation Zone? Why is Toronto? Why is Canada a great place for you to consider coming? Let's address a few of those questions, and then I'll turn it over to Hirsch to talk about the program. When we co-founded this, it was with the view to build better solutions for the consumers of legal services. Doesn't matter whether the consumer is an individual with no money, somebody with lots of money, a business, an international business. Everybody needs better legal solutions, and some of those will be provided by the traditional lawyers and law firms. Most of those will not be. One of the reasons you're on this call, I suspect, is that you recognize a great opportunity within the legal services market, not just in Canada, but throughout the world, to serve those who are not being served and to serve those who are being served differently and better. It is a huge opportunity here as anywhere else. Throughout our 8 years, we've supported about 170 different startups in different ways through our traditional programming and through online programming and others. We've had hundreds of entrepreneurs engaged in different workshops we've put on, have built a community of many thousands of members that we've interacted in different ways. And our online programs in particular have reached 26 countries. The three streams that we've taken are an incubator program, which pre-COVID was in person, and a program to help organizations, law firms, individuals advance their innovation agenda. And third, a cheekily entitled program, which is to help modernize the legal system, bring it into the 21st century. That's an ongoing process. So we've done this in a number of ways. Next slide, please. We've done it in a number of ways and done it out of a place called Toronto, Ontario, Canada. And why do you want to come to Toronto? Toronto has quite a few features. Its residents will tell you about all the features, but from your perspective, it is the second largest financial sector in North America, next to New York City. Huge amount of revenue generated in the financial and the legal sector. It has been recognized as one of the best. It says second best, but Torontonians will tell you it's the best. Place to find legal tech talent and legal tech innovation in North America. We have quite a few firsts in Toronto, Canada, including one of the co-founders, Jeff Hinton, of the modern approach to AI. So it's been long recognized as a place where those on the cutting edge come to advance that edge or stay on the cutting edge. It's also a place that money comes to find opportunity. It's not just the legal sector, the financial sector, the business sector, the medical sector. We happen to be the home of the largest mining prospecting conference in the world, a place where you find all sorts of people searching for opportunity and looking for money. So it's a good place to come. It happens to be the political center of Ontario, the capital, which is the largest province in Canada, but very much a political center in Canada as well. It's a media center. It happens to be a legal center as well, the home of the 7 largest law firms in the country that have branches across the country. Huge legal community, 60 to 70,000 when you include those lawyers practicing inside corporations, etc. And the home of many alternate legal service or alternate service providers, including the Canadian home of the big 4 consultancies. So it's a good place to start your journey across Canada. And if you're interested in North America more generally, a good place to start that. Although you will all know, and we will go into more detail, the market in North America for legal services is a little different than you might be used to in England and parts of the UK. It's much more fractured. It is no more advanced in terms of innovation than what you're used to, which of course is a great opportunity. It's a great time to come here, not just because of the recent advancements in AI, ChatGPT, but the more general demand for better legal services. Next slide, please. We have quite a few alumni as well as our existing companies, and keep in touch with them through CEO circles, various alumni events. We have an AI, ChatGPT, and legal services conference coming up on May 15th, just before you're going to be here, but we have a number of very exciting speakers. You can check it out online if you wish to get a sense of the types of things we try to put on. We do online programming for startups. Concept Framework is a program that's available for startups anywhere in the world. It's a 6-week online program, and Sprint Studio is a program that we've done for the more advanced startups, and that's in addition to our Incubator program. Next slide, please. We put on a number of programs with international and national organizations. Before the war, we helped with a program that was advanced by the Canadian Bureau of International Education. They were helping Ukraine build a legal aid system. And we were brought in both on the legal aid side and on the innovation side, because Ukraine recognized that serving the legal needs of its 65 million people was not going to be possible by funding traditional legal services. And so we were brought in for a number of design thinking workshops and exercises, and our knowledge about how you could expand legal services in a more advanced 21st century way. We work with tribunals, the ATSSC group of tribunals located in Ottawa, on how they can use different innovative approaches to modernize their approach. We've done work with the government of Ontario on general startups and run a competition for AI over the years. And we have relationships with a number of different, many of which are not on this little graphic, but it gives you a sense that we're more than happy to engage with any form of organization. Osler, one of the 7 sister law firms, has been our founding partner from the beginning. Next slide. The benefits for you: you're going to be coming to a place that is in the heart of Toronto. We'll give you a sense, in addition to the program that Hirsch will be speaking about, we'll give you a sense of the political lay of the land, the regulatory lay of the land in Ontario and across North America. We'll have some knowledge to share about the financial situation, the entrepreneurial situation, how people access money, funding, what the market actually looks like. And most importantly, you'll plug into a community. We're at the heart of an entrepreneurial community, a legal entrepreneurial community, but the broader entrepreneurial community. TMU has been recognized internationally as having the leading university-based incubator program. a number of times and is a place that others come to copy their approach and what they're doing. Our incubator is not limited to students. In fact, most of the entrepreneurs are not students. We reach beyond. And I think with that, next slide, please. I'm going to turn over to Hirsch for a sense of the program.
Perfect. I'm just going to take a couple more minutes and just review and go a little bit more in depth in terms of what Ian said and what Chris was saying. And yeah, yeah, you know, the previous slide talked about the benefits for all of you, and just to reiterate, the three main things that we think you will get out of the program is, one, learning specific skills and best practices, obviously all wrapped around a Canadian flavor and focus to really enter that market. And you know, I again just want to reiterate how fortunate all of you are and will be if you join the program, that you have a government and a program like UK Innovate that will support entering a market like this. I know, you know, many of our companies look to get into different markets. Most of them start getting into the US market, but we've had many companies that enter the UK market, and to have a leg up like this would have been very, very beneficial to them. So again, I just want to thank Stephen and Ian for that support. Building relationships is at the heart of everything that this program is about. And Ian talked about customer discovery process and really identifying what types of key customers you have, and then we will help build those relationships. And the third area that we'll be focusing on is feedback, which is extremely important. And I think all successful entrepreneurs will tell you that both getting feedback from potential customers and others who have gone through the process is extremely important, and that's at the heart of what we do at the Legal Innovation Zone. And so we will arrange opportunities to obviously get lots of feedback from Chris and I, but more importantly from potential customers and other innovators that have gone through very similar challenges that you've been going through. In terms of the program schedule, just to reiterate, we'll be doing a virtual onboarding. I think this says July. I think it's scheduled right now for June 20th, but it'll be between June 20th and that first visit on July 24th. And that will really give us a chance to dig deep into what this program is going to be, and equally get to meet all of you. And that'll be the first process of really understanding what each of the needs are. So that'll be a very important one, the virtual onboarding. Then there will be an in-person market visit July 24th to 28th. You'll be able to spend a bunch of time at our office and really start to meet people in Canada, meet leaders, meet experts, meet government officials, and get a sense of what the Canadian market is. After that, we'll go into what I've labeled here virtual programming, because obviously the market visit absolutely has to be in person. The July to October timeline, we'll be doing online programming, but the ideal is, as Ian mentioned earlier, is the more you put in the program, the more you get out of the program. We tell all people who join the Legal Innovation Zone that's the case, and that's definitely the case for all of you. And so if you're able to stay here, we have a great space. I wish I could turn my camera around and show you all the space, but we have a great space with a great view of downtown Toronto. And we are right in the heart of downtown Toronto. It's literally a 5 to 10 minute walk to all the major law firms, all the major accounting firms, all the major tech firms. So very well situated. And so the more time you're able to spend here, obviously, the better it'll be for building a market presence in Toronto. And so there will be a bunch of programming, which I'll get into on the next slide. But we do encourage everyone to spend as much time as possible in Toronto over those 3 to 4 months. And then we will have a final market visit, which again will obviously be in person, where you'll get a chance to meet even more people and learn from people, but also really start to, not hopefully start, but really hopefully close some deals with customers. And also, if you're looking to do some fundraising, there will be opportunities for that. I've marked down a demo day. We'll finish the program with a sort of conference that the Legal Innovation Zone will put on and highlight all of your companies, and that'll be a sort of demo day where you're able to show off all that great technology to our stakeholders, which we have had a great presence in the market over the last 8 years. So that'll be a great opportunity to build even greater presence there. And then there will also be a tail to the program as well. So if you're looking to stay longer in Toronto or some more supports, we've we've worked with UK Innovate to make sure that you're not just dropped after that November date. So don't worry about that. Next slide. Just high level program overview. One-on-one mentorship is the most important thing. So we will be doing workshops with expert panels, and they'll cover a whole bunch of different topics. Some of it will be understanding the Canadian legal technology landscape, Canadian legal system, and a regulatory framework. We have a very different regulatory framework here than you do there. So understanding that will be very important. Understanding Canadian employment law and HR practices, establishing Canadian legal entities, understanding Canadian consumers, navigating the Canadian startup system, raising capital and venture in Canada, intellectual property protection in Canada, pitching to Canadian investors, and lots more. And those will be mainly done in workshops about every other week and stuff like that. But the one-on-one mentorship, we always have a very customized program for our startups. And so we'll be meeting with you about every other week to see how you've been trending and what specifically you're working on. And then we'll identify key mentors that we have or key customers that we're going to be connecting to you. And as I said, the feedback loop will be very important. So that'll be a big part of the program. Being a part of the innovation community, we normally have 15 to 18 companies working out of our space in the legal innovation zone. And so being part of that community will be very helpful, and all the events and all that and meeting those types of people will be great. Pitching, whether it's pitching for money or pitching for customers, I'm sure there's a little different twist in the UK than there is in Canada. So we'll have pitching workshops, and I've already talked about the market visits, and the demo day will be very exciting. We do those for our companies here, and always an exciting time and lots of questions and lots of people there. So that's sort of the program overview. And the final slide is just mentors. And I've said it again, but obviously this program is much, much bigger than UK Innovate or Chris and I. We have a whole team here of mentors and advisors, and we really rely on them for very specific questions for all of our teams. And as I said, it's a really customized program where there will be those bi-weekly workshops, which everyone will attend, which will be somewhat bespoke, but the customization of us connecting you with the various people will, I think, make a huge difference entering this market. And yeah, I think a lot of people would be jealous to have the supports that UK Innovate is providing to you. So again, it's been a pleasure meeting all of you. And I think we're about to wrap up, but I want to, again, say thank you to all of you and UK Innovate, and really, really excited to get this program off the ground and host all of you and meet all of you. So thank you.
Thanks, Hirsch. Thanks, Chris. So we have got some time left, and we purposely left some time at the end for questions. I'm sure you'll agree it's a great offer. Innovate UK, as Hirsch said, is funding the whole program for UK companies. So the 2 market visits, the time if you need it in the incubator space during that 6 months, and all the activities and curriculum-based activities support which is available from the team in Canada is all funded by Innovate UK. So what we're looking for is that commitment really from the companies that join the program, and that willingness to learn and be coached through the program as well. And I'm sure that you'll get a lot out of the program if you do decide to apply and join the program as well. So I'd like to open it up to any questions. Please raise your hand, and we'll take those questions and delegate those out to the relevant people who can answer those. Thank you.
Ian, I might just jump in as we were talking. I remembered a quick note when you mentioned the average 15 hours a week. You did say how, like, when we're in person, obviously it's going to be a lot of hours, and outside of that it's less hours. I just want to reiterate, we work with startups all the time, and we appreciate how busy everyone is. And so when we're talking those 15 hours, when it's between that time of the in-person, which will be very, very heavy, it's really us challenging you to go out and operate in this market. So it's not 15 hours a week of sitting with me or a mentor and talking that. It's really us reviewing what you're doing and then trying to get you out and talk to 12 potential customers, practice that pitch and stuff like that. So I just want to reiterate, we fully appreciate what it means to be an entrepreneur, what it means to be a founder, and know that time is absolutely precious. And this time is really geared towards you entering a market and putting the right amount of time in to make it effective to enter a new market. And so that's not like workshop time. That is entering a market and hitting the pavement and walking downtown to all those law firms and all that type of work. So I just want to reiterate that. Thanks.
Thanks, Hirsch. I'd just like to add to that. I think that for companies that have gone through other incubator programs, it usually works best when there's more than one person involved in the program, because as Hirsch said, we fully appreciate that there'll be commercial distractions during the program. You might be going through a fundraise, you might be going out to see customers. So it's important that there's other people within the team that can step in and they're aware of the program and can maintain that momentum during the program. So, the team and the expertise of the team involved in the program is important to us as well, to make sure that we're, supporting a company that's got the resources to come through the program and get the most out of it.
Great point.
So any questions? Surely we haven't covered everything. There must be one question.
In the event that there are not questions today, if people have questions, of course, they can forward them on to you, and you'll make sure that we get the answer to them.
So we just got a question in the chat from Kevin. Can we provide updates once the application is submitted? The opportunity, if you submit your application pre-deadline and need to amend the application before the deadline, we're happy to allow that. After the deadline, then no. What we expect in the application will be accompanied by a deck, some kind of pitch deck, just to give us a bit more insight into the company and the technology, and that can be attached to the application. And then we'll review every application in its own right between the Innovate UK teams and also the team at Liz as well. So we'll more than happy to accept that information and then review that in fairness across the whole companies that apply.
I see there's two other questions, Ian.
Okay, just looking up. So what is the expected technical product maturity level to be accepted onto the program? Any thoughts on that from Canada?
Yeah, I think the product maturity, I think the product is always evolving, and so I think as long as you're ready to enter a market, which means you have a product that you can start to sell, I think is what we're looking for and what UK Innovate is looking for. Otherwise, it's probably too early to enter a new market. So, I think products are always evolving, and whether you're on version 1 and you think you're going to do a big update, that's fantastic. But I think the expectation is that you're at a point that you can at least start to sell a product. I think that's right, Ian.
Yeah, I agree. I think commercialization stage is where the company would need to be. I think equally, how you would resource the program as well. I think if you're at the early stage of your TRL level, for example, you might be investing in R&D activities, and so whether you would have that kind of bandwidth to go overseas alongside those activities as well. So,
right.
We're more than happy to have conversations, as Chris said. We're more happy to explore the options and give that advice of whether there's a fit for the program prior to you submitting an application. We wouldn't want to take you through that process without, if you wanted that feedback, I'm more than happy to give that to you. So we're more happy to sort of share that information between us, just to give you that feedback before an application is submitted. Another question: we would likely need to hire and/or internally identify someone for a role dedicated to this opportunity. Is it possible to apply on this basis and get support finding the right person? So I'm reading that possibly to maybe, is that somebody maybe based in Canada, Pete, or is that someone from the UK?
Yeah, so sorry, that's from me. Probably easier just to reply verbally. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's a great opportunity, and thanks so much for the presentation. I think that the likelihood is to kind of avoid that risk of distraction, we probably dedicate somebody to this opportunity, and that could either be somebody already in our business or external to it. And I think particularly if it's external to, well, A, is that okay? And B, if external to it, would we be able to get support in finding the kind of person with the right skill set that would, work really well within the program?
So I might pick some of that up. I think finding someone in the UK, we're not really in a position to help any businesses identify people that they can hire in, or other companies that they can pull on. That needs to be more in your court. If you're talking about potentially hiring someone in Canada, then I would have to ask Hirsch and Chris what their view is on what can be done there.
Yeah, so the way I would envision it is I guess you're thinking of, like, do you hire a salesperson in Canada or something like that? I would say we can't make any promises, so we might be able to help, but it's also somewhat short timeline. So finding the appropriate person in the timeline of applying and then starting the program, like I would think that's somewhat more difficult. So, if you had a resume, happy to pass it around and stuff like that, but I wouldn't say, off the top of my head, I could think about 3 salespeople that would be perfect for your company.
I think as well, given the time scales, as Hirsch has said, you'd be better off trying to plan this as someone within the business taking the lead, at least to start with.
Maybe I'll just add this to support what others have said. I mean, you all know, as entrepreneurs, you all know the challenges of building your business within the community that where you're all resident. It's not easier building it in a community you don't know. And one of the advantages of Innovate UK's approach here is that they are able to combine resources to support you from the community and launch and start selling into a community you don't know by hooking up with other experts or people who connect you with experts. That's a process, and it is going to take time. You all know how challenging it is. I suspect you know how challenging it is selling into the legal community that you do know. So you want to be able to say to yourself that you have the time and the energy to take advantage of the opportunity. And if this is not the right time to take advantage of the opportunity, because there are other things that are taking you away from that, then that's something you need to consider. But to be successful, you want to leverage whatever's here. It's a rare opportunity that Innovate UK is providing. And I think to really leverage that, you're not going to want a lot of distractions. And, what we see is that hiring somebody to be a salesperson or a representative of your business is a huge step. They need to understand your business. And that's a big step. And so you would be the one able to answer whether that step is going to take you away from what you want to accomplish with this opportunity. I don't think anybody else can. And there won't be a lot of extra time to do that while you're in the midst of the program either. Because you want to be able to hit the ground running at that, from the beginning, I would think. That's just my thought.
I'd just add, based on experience running some of the other incubator programs, is that we tend to have just strategic conversations with sort of C-suite individuals during the interview process, and they will maybe attend the first visit and would then maybe reallocate some of that time to some maybe middle managers within the business, that depending on size of business, to really undertake some of that customer discovery work as part of the sort of wider team, and that can work really well. So we still have that involvement with that C-suite individual within the senior management team to make sure the direction is of travel on the program is going well, but also, you know, understanding that individual or those individuals will want to be involved in other activities in the company. Totally understandable, but there's still momentum where there's individuals in the company who are still driving those customer discovery interviews or whatever it might be during the program. And we found that you know, some of the other companies that have done that process have been really successful. So if you have got people in your team who you think would be well qualified to be part of that program, then, you know, I'd suggest getting them involved as well.
Is there something else I can help with?
Okay,
Yeah.
you've got another question from Steve at Transparently. It would be desirable to spend as much time in Toronto as possible. How much of that time is supported by Innovate UK, particularly the 4 months over the summer, for the cost of which could be prohibitive to some startups? I think we've already outlined it's a tremendous package support, but the package support has to have a line, and that line is any independent market travel that companies undertake during the program, and accommodations pay for themselves. We can be flexible around those market visits in the sense of some companies, when they go on the first market visit, extend. So they extend for maybe a week or a couple of weeks to make that first visit even longer than it is. So it makes it a little bit, in terms of travel costs, more advantageous in that way. So you don't have to pay for a separate flight. But if you wanted to go out, say, for example, in September independently for 2 weeks, and you wanted to spend time in the market, in a hotel, then you'd have to pay for those flights, accommodation, and the market expenses yourselves.
Yeah, I would just add the same option I would assume is available on the second market to come earlier as well, or extend. Yeah,
absolutely. Given the time of year, it probably make more sense to be earlier, given that we'll be moving towards Christmas and December and holidays. So yeah, we can be flexible around that as well. So yeah, we'll flex as much as we can, but there are obviously restrictions in budgets on that. Okay, so another question. Thanks very much for the informative session. What should we be expecting at the interview stage if we're shortlisted after that application? I think it's getting to, you know, I'll answer first. I'm sure Hirsch and Chris have got their view on it as well. I think it's getting to know the company and the individuals involved a little bit better. People can write great applications, but when you meet them face to face, that might not transmit into a good interview. So we're just trying to get a better understanding of the individuals involved in the program, and just ask particular questions around what the company's objectives are for the program, and if we can align that to the support that's available for the program. I don't know if Chris and Hirsch have got some comments on that.
Yeah, I right in line with what you were going to say. I mean, coachability is a big part for us, and as you mentioned, you only get such a sense from reading a paper. So actually meeting people and having those conversations is a little more helpful. So,
are you excited? Are you excited about the opportunity? What do you hope to accomplish? All of those things, I think.
Yeah.
The type of things that you would express if you were talking to anybody about your business. And why Toronto, Canada? Why Ontario? Why Canada? What are you going to find here that you're not going to find elsewhere? And what are your ambitions for it?
Thanks so much for answering the question. And it sounds like a really great opportunity. So thank you for this.
Okay, thanks. So I've got a question from Sally. Just wondering how many applications you're expecting, ballpark. Great question. And it's so difficult to predict. It is the first program, so you know it could go one of two ways. It could be really successful. We could be inundated with applications. For example, we run the first health tech incubator program, which I managed this year. We got over 100 applications. I wouldn't expect it to be that high. I run another program on the clean tech sector where we average 40 to 50, and I think we'll probably be looking for around that amount. I think for this program, I think that would be a good amount of applications. But it's about encouraging the right businesses to apply, and obviously the session today is hopefully giving people food for thought, or whether the company is your companies are at the right stage to join the program. But we're hoping to run the program in subsequent years. So if you decide that now is not the right time, then hopefully there might be an opportunity for you again in the future as well.
Yeah.
Any other questions before we close? Well, I think we're now on just about on time. So just want to thank everyone for joining the call today, particularly Stephen, Hirsch and Chris for their time. Much appreciated, very informative. If you do have any questions, I will be reaching out after the session later this week with a follow-up email with my contact details. Please direct any questions on the program, any questions you didn't feel you wanted to share in the public domain today, and we're happy to answer those, and certainly around whether the stage you're at as a company is right for the program. More than happy to look at that within the team. And yeah, just want to thank everyone for joining today, including colleagues from UK and Canada, and enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks everyone.